Well, good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight for this event. My name is Taylor Shippey. I'm the president of the board of the Chamber of Commerce here for Gibbon. And so we're just so glad to have such a great turnout tonight to participate in our civic duty of voting for the mayor of our town. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to the chamber board members that have contributed in helping assemble these questions. I want to thank the Gibbon Public School for letting us be here, Dr. Vern Fisher, Mr. Jeff Montgomery, and Ms. Taylor Gelman for being gracious hosts for us tonight. And I also want to thank the candidates, Matthew Branch, Jeffrey Bermude, and Leon Stahl for joining us tonight, again, to hear the questions from the community. And thanks everyone else for your faithful contributions for your questions tonight. So before we get started, I just kind of want to explain the format, or at least the procedures we're going to go for tonight. A reminder that tonight is not a debate, but it's just a question and answer forum. You all submitted questions via online or other submissions, and so we have tried our best to come up with the top questions, or at least compile those that were there, and so there will be no live questions taken from the floor. And again, like we said, we have tried to reword and lump the questions to get the spirit of what people were asking for, and so unfortunately, if your question maybe was not answered or not addressed specifically, the candidates are willing to answer those questions afterwards privately if you want to contact them. Each candidate will have up to 4 minutes to answer a question. At about the 30-second mark, we'll give a gesture here on the floor letting them know that they can wrap it up. And so again, we just ask that everyone be civil and respectful tonight as we answer these questions. And so I hope you have a good night and hear from our mayoral candidates. And so I'm going to go down to the floor, and then we'll begin tonight with our questions. Thanks again for being here. So I've asked each candidate to come forward and introduce themselves as well as answer our first question tonight. So Mr. Branch, if you want to come forward, introduce yourself and please let us know what are your personal and or professional experiences that qualify you for Gibbon's mayoral position.
Yeah, thank you. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Chamber, thank you for putting this on. This is awesome. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. This is awesome for our town. For me, the last 22 years of my life has been in the service of others. It is ensuring the wellness, health, welfare of everybody underneath my charge, who supports me, who I work alongside. That is my sole mission in life for the last 22 years. In doing so, I've also had the opportunity to work and conduct a lot of different building projects with a number of different municipalities. Many different sizes, many different countries. Towns, villages, to 20, 30,000 size cities. And that has been amazing. One of the major things that we were able to do in a lot of those instances where you have towns that have conflict together is bringing them together, solving some issues as basic as water, crops, roads, and even combined schools. And these are folks that definitely don't get along, but we're finding common ground and a way to move forward with what's best for their communities as well as their children for the future. And then growing in my Marine Corps career from those, I would call them smaller municipalities, not anywhere less important at all, working on bigger city side as well as countryside, working with Department of State as well as DOD and those host nations, trying to develop those cities that they really feel are being left out, if you will. And so we're developing plans, developing new infrastructure, why things aren't well, why they can't bring more commerce in, why their roads are not very good. And now how do we develop that? How do we get a buy-in from that community as well? Because it takes more than just somebody to say, yep, that needs fixed. And so that, along with just serving, just being a servant to those that I serve, that is why, in my professional opinion, not that that matters much right now, in my professional opinion, I feel like that's also what qualifies me to be a mayoral candidate for the great town of Gibbon. So, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Bermude, and I also want to thank everybody for coming. It's a really good turnout. It's a good deal. I also want to say thank you for your service, Matt. Appreciate that very much. I think the question was, what experiences personally or in business make you feel like you're qualified for the job? I think first you have to ask yourself, what is the responsibility of the mayor, right? And in our city government structure, the responsibility of the mayor is basically the CEO, is they oversee everything. So the personnel, the assets, and the day-to-day operations, okay? So I feel like my experience in what I do and what I've done in my life have put me in a place where I can do that really well. Currently, I've been self-employed for 14 years. 7 of those years was owning a construction company, and the other 7 of those years is being a property management company. We do a lot of lawn care, stuff like that. One of the things I'm tasked with on a day-to-day basis is working with property owners, landowners, managing their assets. That's the same thing that the mayor is responsible for in Gibbon. Is you guys are paying taxes, right? This city is yours. The assets of this town are yours, right? Whether it be the infrastructure, the equipment, the park, any of those things. They're yours, you're paying for them, and you should be able to enjoy them, right? That the responsibility of the mayor is to make sure that all of those things are in working order for you. So when you go home at night, the water turns on. When you go to the park, it's in good shape. When it snows, the trucks are out there making sure they're clear so you can get to work and get home, or if there's an emergency, people can respond, okay? That's what I do. I push snow. I take care of property. I take over properties for people and make them better. We work on what the problems are, we come together, and we work to make them better. So for me, it seems really easy because you just find the issues and you resolve them. We have issues, we need resolutions, right? I think it can be done pretty fast, and I think it can be done pretty easy. So my experience with what I do every day, I think is going to be an asset for me to get this place where you guys want it to be. Thank you.
I'm Leon Stahl, and once again, I'd like to thank Matthew for his years of service to our country, thank the Chamber and the school for hosting this event, and thank those individuals who are live streaming and recording this. My years of service for the last 29 years have been with the public as a teacher and educator within this school district and then another school district for 6 years. So I've been in this community my entire life. I was born here, I went to school here, I know the values of this community. And I'd like to continue expanding on those values that we've had. You've entrusted me with your students, and many of you, I've taught you, I've taught your children, coached your children. I think you know my values, and I want to keep instilling those values and helping our community grow in a positive direction. As an educator, I've led many committees, problem solving. We've had some issues with the community within, and I like to see myself as a bridge builder. So if there's issues, instead of creating more issues or more problems, I like to sit down with the individuals and then listen to them. Every problem or every issue is going to have multiple sides. And I think it's important to take a look and listen to those multiple sides. Not everybody is going to be happy with the final decision, but at least people will say that they had their voice heard. And that's what I like to bring to the table. I like to organize groups to find solutions. I think that's what we need in our community. We've got a lot of issues in our community, and then we have a lot of young families here. We need to tap those young families. We need a bridge between the older community and the younger community. Instead of seeing this as a community where I just live, where my house is, and then go out, I want to create activities and stuff here that's going to keep our young families here and keep our community vibrant. As a city councilman, a member for the last 12 years, I've been heavily involved in the budget process, the short and the long-term planning within our community. We've had several housing expansion projects. We've had our fire hall, the pool, community room, city hall. All of those are things that people needed and they wanted, and we took that to the ballot. People voted, and we carried that process through. I promise you that I will work tirelessly to accomplish what is good for this community, what your direction says we need to do in a long-term plan. It's your city. I encourage you to take part in the committees that we ask, that we set up, have your input. Once we have a direct path, then every decision that we have will be to reaching that end goal. So I strongly encourage you, be participating in our community. When we ask, or your community asks you to get involved. Get involved. That's your voice. That's how we know what you want. And we can lead this community in a direction where we can all be happy and satisfied, and the community can grow. Thank you so much.
So I'm going to address this question, beginning with Mr. Bamoud, if you don't mind. The citizens want to know, how do you plan to reduce unnecessary spending to keep rising taxes in check?
So I'm going to take a non-conventional approach to this answer. The issue that we're faced with coming up, that I learned by being on city council for 4 years, was that we've taken the kick the can down the road approach to a lot of things, okay? It's really popular to stand up here and say, I'm not going to spend money so I can save you money, okay? I'm not that guy. I'm not going to say that. Because the challenges we are faced with in our community right now are going to take money. Previous leadership has decided to not take care of certain things, and now there's a lot of things that need addressed. We have an aging fleet of trucks, aging equipment. We have more acres of park than almost any city our size. Our streets are falling apart. Under the streets are going to need work. Water lines, sewer lines, storm sewer lines, they're all aging. And what we've done, and what I saw while I was on council, was a reactive approach to everything. That's broke, let's fix it. That's broke, let's fix it. And plenty of times, we were given lists of things that needed to be addressed. I'll take one for example. The methane burner out of the lagoons. In 2020, we were told that if we didn't address that, it was going to be an issue. It was going to fail. I think the word was a complete overhaul is needed, right? Last year, that caught on fire because nothing was done to prevent that. Thank God a first responder or a citizen in this town didn't get hurt because of that, okay? For 4 years, when it came time for budget, I said, what are we going to do to fix this? Where's the money for the new truck? Where's the money for the methane burner? Where's the money for this? And the popular answer was, we don't have it. We're not going to ask for it. It'll be fine. Well, that doesn't work for me. And it shouldn't work for you. You guys should expect better. You should expect good streets. You should expect good equipment to show up in the morning when it's snowing. You should expect the employees of this town to have good tools, good facilities, good equipment to use when they show up. So I know we have a lot of new things going on in town right now, but I kind of like to use this approach. Don't always just be looking over here, you know, with all the new stuff we got. Make sure you keep paying attention over here, okay? Because this stuff's happening. This stuff's falling apart in front of your face, and we're not putting the money towards that. So the non-conventional approach that I have to this answer about how I'm going to save money is that we're going to start fixing things. Because if you fix it now, it's cheaper than fixing it later. And that's what we've done. We've started putting money in things that it's not worth that when we put the money in it, and it's not worth that after we put the money in it. That's not good use of your money. We need to do better with the money. We need to start making sure the stuff we're fixing and that we're investing in is going to be around for a long time. And stop just putting bubble gum and duct tape on it so that way we can say we saved money. So that's my approach to things. I want to take a proactive approach to things. I want to get things fixed, and I want you guys to see where your money is going. Thank you.
To my knowledge, the unnecessary spending wasn't identified. So I've been on the council for going on 12 years now. So I'm not sure what was being defined as the unnecessary spending in the years. I don't think that the council has been spending unnecessarily. It has been through projects that the community wanted. We have an infrastructure. We do have to maintain that infrastructure. The community clearly stated that they wanted a pool, they wanted a fire hall, a city hall, community hall. All of those are things that the community wanted. Yes, we have those. We also have a responsibility to maintain our infrastructure. All right, so we will continue with that. And we've been extremely fortunate in the past several years to receive large amounts of grants due to the work of several different agencies and our city hall. So the spending that we see, the large amounts of spending that we see, right now, most of that, a majority of that has been paid through with grants, not tax dollars from the city of Gibbon with property taxes. We've also had the fortune of having a lot of commercial investment coming into the Gibbon, into the city, all right, and also housing development within our city. All of those improvements are increasing our tax base, right, which allows us to move forward with these other projects without touching the tax as much as we should. There are some issues we do need to address. I think that's part of our infrastructure. And as we develop our long and our short range plans, we'll put those in play and say we need to prioritize this, and this. Whether it be equipment or our water, our wastewater treatment, whatever it is, we need to put together a plan so everybody in the community is on the same page and understand where we're moving forward. If we do have to ask for more money, all right, they know exactly where that money is going for. So that's why I strongly encourage the community to get involved, come to the meetings, serve on committees so we get your input. And you're also made aware of what's going on, where your money is going and why it's going to those particular areas. So thank you.
So first, maybe because I'm a dumb brain, I didn't bring any notes, so that's cool. But we'll just talk a little bit. And also, I'd like to try to keep things concise and to the point, so I will probably not be hitting the limit. But I would be happy to talk with you more in depth, of course, after this, or contact me at any point. Not to beat a dead horse, but these gentlemen have said it very well. I do want to say thank you to the city administrators, Mr. Smolcom. They've done a phenomenal job of staying in budget, which you kind of have to have if we're going to keep taxes down. So thank you for doing that. It was not an easy job when you first came on deck, and they're managing it phenomenally. However, looking forward, because we all pay taxes, so it does affect us all. It's not just, oh, mayor, don't pay taxes. No, we all pay taxes, so it definitely affects us. We need to look at what's important first. What is the need? And now we prioritize. But before we do that, we need the city to say, hey, this is what we feel is important first. Now, when it comes to water, we all need that. That's priority number one. And that's being addressed, and it's being handled slower than we'd like. Sometimes that's the nature of the beast, unfortunately, but water is essential, and we know that. It does cost money. However, like Leon said, we've been fortunate to get some grants and some help to some big money so we can make some new wells, bring some better quality water into town, which would be phenomenal. When it comes to community buy-in, I feel like that is a strong way that we can also be connected and understand where we're all at. What I'm trying to say is, if we know what's important to each other, now we can make that a priority, rather than, you know, us in the council or the mayor or those the powers that be trying to figure out what does the city want. Like Leon said, we need that buy-in from everyone. And if we bring that community together, the young, the old, those that are moving in, all of those together, now we have a better idea of what it looks like from your side. Not just of the city checks And, you know, we need more trucks, we need new trucks, and we definitely do. I think we've all seen them. But once we're all bought in and we're all on the same page, now we can move forward on this one first, this one second. Well, you know what? We need to talk about this a little bit. Now let's address it. Not so it lasts a year and now it's broke. Like Jeff said, like we'll address it now before it's a problem. But now everybody understands, like, yep, this is the process. This is what we're going to first, second, third, and so on. So I really think it just becomes a problem of communication, to be completely honest. And once we're all on that same page, which we can be, it's not too hard pressed to find that spot. But once we're there, because we all see the problems, we just need to acknowledge them, and now we can all talk about them, and now we can prioritize them. And so, long story short, I feel like communication really is the way that we will make sure that we enable taxes to continue to stay low like they are now. So, thank you.
Mr. Stahl, I'll begin with you for this question, if you don't mind coming forward. Citizens want to know, what are your plans as mayor to improve the quality of life for the citizens of this city? And they offered various things, perhaps community infrastructure, amenities, water, air quality. Again, what are your plans to improve the quality of life for citizens in the city of Gibbon?
Well, first of all, going back to my, what I laid out initially is, it won't be my plan. All right, we need community involvement. What do you want? All right, I'm elected. All right, if I serve as mayor, I'm elected by you to serve you, to represent you. I can't represent you unless you're informed and then you pass those decisions on to me, or your wishes on to me, or the council. So please get involved in the community with that. I think the community, the communication infrastructure, Verizon has just really taken the heat in our community. And I've gotten multiple calls about that. You know, what are you going to do about that as a city council person? Well, it's capitalism. And I talk about this multiple times in my class. Gibbon is small. It's a community of 2,000. So when we call and we complain, all right, we've got Kearney and we have Grand Island, Lincoln, Omaha, other larger cities. We're pretty small fish here. All right, we can file those complaints. We can talk to them this way, but there's only a limited amount what we can do with a private corporation like that with Verizon. Some of the amenities is, what do you want? What do the citizens want? And that's where these committees come into play. We have several board openings throughout the year. We have different committees we're asking people to serve on. All right, that's where we have those conversations, and that's where we learn what the people want. I was fortunate enough to serve on with several different people when we were looking at the community center, the guidelines. What do we want? All right, and I heard a lot of different opinions here. It was wonderful. And through that discussion, I understand where they're coming from. They understood where I was coming from. And we had some younger individuals there. It was wonderful dialogue between some newer people in our community and people who have been in our community for 40 and 50 years. The dialogue was tremendous. So the amenities, what do you want? What do the citizens want? It's not what I want, it's what you want. The next thing is our water quality. Now, we've gotten grants. We have studies out there. All right, we're trying to look down the road a little bit. What do we need to do to get quality water here? The regulations are changing constantly with this. All right, what are we doing? All right, so we apply for these grants. We got these grants. We get the studies. We look at those things. So we start to put things into play. All right, at least we have an idea. We're not going to be surprised by any regulations that would come about all of a sudden. The other thing with the air quality, we've got two elephants in the room. One of them is this, oh, it stinks. Is it the pack or is it the sewer? You know, and this happens at track practice. The wind was out of the south and the kids are like, oh my God, it's sitting again. I'm like, wrong direction. Just totally wrong direction. And the kids, they realize, wait a minute, it's coming from that direction. It's not it. We do have those two things. We have those two issues. And I think with the leadership that we have given the past and the current, right, I think that they will work with us to see what we can do to help the air quality here in Gibbon. The city is also responsible for a portion of that as well. Now, unfortunately, we've had some little bad things happen to us, all right, with the methane burner. All right, we're taking care of that. right? But it's going to take a while. So those are the four things that I think need to come out there. It's like, what do you want? When we get this long-range plan or short-term plan, whatever it might be, we need your input. And you need to look at that plan, hold us to that plan, and we move on. That wasn't just a casual high. Okay. Thank you.
I think we need to start first and foremost with events. It was on, I think February 2023. It went out to high schoolers, everyone in the community. It was just a survey, what do you want to see from the community? And high schoolers and community members alike said events. And I think if we start there, going back to what I was kind of speaking about taxes, but obviously on a different spectrum, we need to start doing that. We just heard at the last council member meeting that Pistoleros is going to do a Cinco de Mayo event, which is great. We do the Christmas tree event every, Christmas time, which is great. 4th of July, great. We can do more than that. It doesn't just have to be specific to those things that we've always done. It can be bigger than that and broader than that. And I think we need to do that. But that also means that we need to open up the door, those different demographics in our city that really haven't had a play in these events before. And so that means community-wide, now is community-wide. It's not just based on what we've done in the past, because that's how we've always done it, or that's what we've always done. Now it's new. Now everyone has a say. Now everybody can have a play in these types of things, because it's their city too. It's our city. And that's what we need to understand, that we are given. And it's a phenomenal place. There's no place like it around here. Otherwise, none of us would be up here for sure. But we need to remember that there's a reason why people live here, because it is awesome. And then to speak also, as Leon said, about the water, the stink. The PAC has a phenomenal play in this community, and I don't think it's necessarily seen. For instance, the old track over by the pool, they're donating a bunch of money to refurbish that whole thing. Now it's going to be kind of a little walking path, trail track kind of thing, keeping that park updated. So they are reinvesting into the community because they understand, like, without us, they don't have a PAC. They're also willing to discuss, like, we get it, the air quality, the smell specifically, can be kind of an issue. So they're bringing that to the table, understanding, like, we're going to give to you, but we also understand, like, we got some things we got to figure out too, but we're going to need your help. Knowing that, we can start addressing that, looking at solutions that really benefit everyone. Smell is smell, and I think we all smell it sometimes, which is okay. Some of us just get used to it and we don't even notice it until somebody comes to visit from North Carolina and you're like, oh wow, what's that? Oh yeah, that's our pet, don't worry about that. But that being the case, it's something that is on the table, and they're more than happy to start addressing it and talking through those things. Additionally, the different amenities, I think, when it comes to quality around Gibbon, is the little things. It's the wave, it's the kids playing in the street. Just coming over here today, there was 3 kids playing in the street, like obviously game off, they get off the street, game on, we drive by, not a problem. Those are the kind of little things that make Gibbon Gibbon. Those are the quality things that make us who we are. And that's what we need to stay focused on too. Big picture things, obviously, but those little things, the future of what keeps quality, and what keeps Gibbon Gibbon, and those little things is what I want to focus on too. Thanks.
So as far as the communication side of this goes, I'm gonna say the same thing as Leon. You're fighting a beast you can't win against there. Maybe pick a different carrier. That's the best advice I can give you. I don't know on that one. As far as amenities go, I think we have a lot of opportunities here. I made a comment about how much park acreage we have. I see that as an asset. It's a lot to take care of. It's a big expense, but it's a good thing. Like Matt said, we need more events. The barbecue for the fire department is a good event. There's the 4th of July event this last year was great. I think that was a lot of fun, and the kids really enjoyed it. We are able to do that because we have space for it. The parks allow us to do that, and with the added money from the Rosen family, I think Rosen Park is going to be really big asset for us in the future. As far as water goes, the plan is in place. I'll elaborate a little bit on it. So the plan is that we are going to install a well field at the golf course, okay? So that's an amenity, right? And thank God we have it. They've ran some test wells up there. The water quality up there is top notch. It is great water, okay? So the idea is that they're going to drill a series of wells up there over a matter of time, and then they'll put a transmission line coming down using the county's easement, and then attach it to the 1 million gallon storage tank. And that will prevent us from having to build a water treatment plant. That is huge. The amount of money that saves us over the next 50 years is unmeasurable. Because essentially what we're going to do is pump clean water out of the ground and right to your house. If you were to build a water treatment plant, you have to staff it, buy the chemicals, treat the water, and then repair all of that all the time, okay? So I think those two go together. Amenities and water are great. We have a golf course that kind of got some different opinions over the years, but I look at it as a huge asset right now, because if we didn't own that, we wouldn't have what I like to call, gold under the ground up there. And our kids will get to enjoy clean water because of it, if everything that they're telling us is true. So, air quality. I think we own a little bit of that responsibility for the city. I think the PAC takes the brunt of it sometimes, and we take the brunt of it sometimes. So to me, let's get those two people in the room, and let's work together. It's not coming from somebody else. It's not somebody else's problem. It's those two individuals' problem. So we need a mayor that's going to go into that meeting and hold strong and say, we're willing to do these things. If you guys are willing to do these things, let's work together and fix the problem. So that way when people drive through town, they have a little bit different idea of how things work around here. We don't get judged on that. I think that if we do some of these things, we can instill a little bit more pride. Change the stigma a little bit, and be known for other things by other towns. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. Thank you.
Mr. Branch, Mr. Branch, I'm going to address this question, start with you here. There's a growing concern among residents that has to do with yard waste, weed control, exterior home beautification. What role will these concerns play in your administration? Again, it's about yard waste, weed control, exterior home beautification.
It's a great question. I think we all have pride in this town, otherwise we wouldn't be here right now, or if we're watching online. And I think part of that also goes into how we conduct ourselves at our own home of residence. That being said, we also have members of this community that potentially don't have the means to facilitate those weekly or bi-weekly or even monthly type of activities to keep those things looking with that type of pride mindset. Or maybe it's just not a thing they've done before until they came to Gibbon, and now they are told, hey, that's an ordinance, you can't do that. Well, there's some different approaches I feel like we need to take. One is bring them in, understanding, I get it, and however, this is Gibbon and this is why we do things. This is why we like to take pride in it. We like things to look nice. What can we do to help you? Now it becomes back to what I said, my first little phrase was community. What can we do together? If you're doing it on your own, phenomenal. Keep doing it, because they look awesome. And overall, since I've moved here since 2012, our town has definitely looked better now than it did in 2012, hands down. And that is because people are buying into wanting to take pride in the way that their lawn, their house, how things are presented, Not that presenting means that you are a certain way or you got everything put together. No, it's just we're part of this community and we want the community to look good together. But I think that dynamic, we really need to understand, not everybody's coming from the same place. So we really need to take that time. As mayor, that's my job, to make sure that there's a clear line of communication. It is definitely the CEO, but it's also being that first line. Hey, I'm here to serve you. Let me clear some things up. Now, let's put some things in place that maybe can help facilitate a few of these things. I.e., we do a cleanup, right, twice a year, which is phenomenal. Now, if we do more cleanups than that, now the city's on the line for that. Now we gotta pay some more overtime. Now we start getting into some more of those issues. However, if we get some more community involvement, some volunteers type stuff together, and I think you guys are catching on what we're saying, community, 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 because the mayor is nothing without it. We are here to serve you, but without the community, a lot of these things can't happen. And people want to have pride in everything. They want to have pride in where they live, regardless of where they come from. The measure of the pride in our community, we've had for a long time. Some folks move in and they don't understand that. So we just have to, educate, but more than that, just embrace them, allow them to be part of it first. And now they're like, okay, I get it. I want to be part of that too. So that being said, lawn can be a pain. Chemicals, not everybody agrees with. I'll be the first one to say I'm not going to force somebody to put chemicals on their lawn if they don't want to, because that's not my place. However, if it's 1.5 feet tall, it needs to be taken care of. So make it look groomed, make it look nice, and I think we can all do that together. If somebody or those folks that can't do it, we can help. Like, that's why we're all here together. That's why we're all here tonight. Because otherwise, why would anybody be here if we didn't want our town and our city to be better? So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
I already forgot what order we were in, so sorry. To me, this issue is very simple. This is going to be no surprise to the other councilmen that I served with when they hear me say this. We have a code book. We have an ordinance book. It's really simple. I think it was about 4 years ago, we spent a considerable amount of money making sure that we could put those codes and ordinances on the website so everybody could see them. I support that wholeheartedly. I think we need more transparency. I think we need to open the curtain up for everybody to see what's going on. The thing is this is going to touch on wasteful spending. Why would we spend all that money to redo our code book and put it on the website and do all these hoops that we're going to jump through if it didn't matter? This might be a surprise to some of you, but I actually talked to 2 city council members this week, and I asked them straight up. I said, if somebody decides to not follow the rules, what's the repercussions? I said, is it fair to say nothing will happen other than they'll get a sticker on the door? And the answer was yes. Essentially, yes. We have taken the approach of, it'll be okay, we'll figure it out, something will happen, right? The other answer is, we need more money and more time. I don't agree with any of those things. Matt's absolutely correct in the fact that you don't need a hammer to solve this problem. You just need communication and education, okay? So you communicate with the people that are in violation and you work with them. Not everybody has the equipment or the ability to do all this. There are people out there who will reach out and help them, okay? But if they're just sticking their nose up at everybody and saying, I refuse to do this, it's my right, I don't have to, that's not fair either. I believe that the silent majority of this town needs a voice also. The people that do take care of their things, the people that do have pride in this community, they work really hard. And some of them don't have the means to do that, and they still do it. And nobody says that everything has to be perfect. Nobody's saying you need a weed-free yard. I know that's weird coming from me, right? But Nobody says that. Nobody says it has to be groomed perfectly and all that. That's unrealistic, and it's not fair to everybody, okay? But what is fair is that when you come home from work or church or school and you pull into your driveway, that the neighbor isn't something you have to cringe about, because they just don't care and they don't want to follow the rules. And to me, that's not respectful to our community. So let's enforce the code book. Let's come up with a structure, okay? It doesn't have to be egregious, you know, but there has to be a repercussion for not following the rules. We wouldn't let somebody speed through town at 80 miles an hour. We wouldn't let people disrespect all of our traffic laws, right? So why would we let them disrespect the rules that, number one, we paid to have, right? And number two is what keeps our community a place where everybody feels like they have a voice and they're being heard. And that's all. Thank you.
I'd agree to a certain extent with both of these gentlemen. We do have a process in play. The situation that typically, not always happens, is you get the warning, the CSO goes around here, you get the warning, a neighbor may report an area that they deem unsightly. CSO person goes out, gives them a warning, and then there's steps that take place. It doesn't just happen overnight. And then once that is corrected and the infraction happens again, the whole process starts all over again. You can't start back where you left off and keep going that way. So there's that process of, you can bring the hammer in and do that. The city could do the mowing, the city could clean up those lots, whatever it may be. That's also a cost. I like Matthew's approach is that we've got to build a community here where the people actually feel like this is their community. And neighbors want to keep the neighborhood looking nice. And the way you do that is through dialogue and having them a sense of community, belonging. People sometimes get down on their luck. Maybe they need a little help. Maybe they need to borrow a mower. Maybe they need some help with some trade, whatever it might be. But we're really lacking that sense of community. And I truly mean that we have a lot of people who just come here, they live, and then they leave. They go do their other stuff outside of town. They don't stay in here. So we've got to create an environment where there's stuff here where they stay and they're not going out. So when they're here, they take care of their properties. They want them to look nice. So we can do the hammer approach, and that's certainly in place. And I think we've dropped the ball a few times. All right. But I think the answer, the long-term answer, is get buy-in from the community. This is my community. It's not the city's. It's mine. It's ours. It's all of ours. So once we get that type of approach in the town, right, then I hope it will take care of it. But we've got to have that sense of community. Otherwise, we can fine. Captain Anderson has said multiple times, you can't find your way out of a problem. Right? You got to talk your way out of a problem. There's got to be a solution. So you can hammer away, all right? But the problem's still going to be there. And now you create this huge division, all right, within our community. So if you build a sense of community to fix these problems, then the problem will eventually go away. Otherwise, you're constantly hammering, and the problem still exists. Thank you.
So, Mr. Boomood, I will address this question. We'll begin with you on this one. Housing has become a major need in the Gibbon community. What would your approach be to spur new housing growth and development in the city? So again, it's housing is a major need in the Gibbon community. What would your approach be as mayor to spur new housing growth and development in town?
Okay. This has some challenges that the mayor isn't necessarily going to have. I don't know if the word is power or whatever word you want to insert there. Power is not the right word, but the mayor doesn't have oversight on privately owned land, okay? And that's a good thing, right? I think the way we need to approach this is you need to start thinking like a businessman. You need to start thinking like an investor, okay? What would make somebody want to invest a substantial amount of money in our community, right? And then wait to get it back? Because that's how these developments work. Is somebody either has the land or they purchase the land, right? They're responsible for installing the infrastructure, the street, the water, the sewer, sometimes the electrical, right? And then after all that's done, then somebody buys a lot, builds a house, and they start to get their money back. That's a huge risk that these people are taking, right? So if you're a part of the city, you need to look at it that way. You need to look at it like, how do we get people to see us as an investment, right? How do we get people to see Gibbon as a place where they want to bring a lot of money, take a risk, and then feel confident they're going to get it back, right? What the city can do is they can work with these individuals. I feel like in the past, there have been some issues with working with some developers and stuff, and we have to start keeping our word. And that goes both ways, don't get me wrong. But we have to do a better job of being proactive instead of reactive, okay? If we don't want somebody to build something a certain way, we need to tell them that before they build it. If we don't want somebody to do something a certain way, we need to have it in our code book. We need to have an outline. I proposed, after the last time we had an issue, we come up with a package that every developer gets when they come to town, and these are our expectations. These are the way we want things done in Gibbon. We want them done a certain way so that way everybody who purchases that house or rents that house or rents that commercial building, right, it is getting a good piece of property, okay? We still don't have that. That was years ago. We have to do a better job of putting in plans so that way things are easy to follow and we get what we think we're getting, okay? There's a couple solutions to this. One of them is LB 840. That's something we can pass, and it allows Gibbon to invest in itself. Right now, we can't do that. Right now, under the current structure, if there was a piece of land that came up for sale, Gibbon couldn't go buy that, right, and absorb some of the infrastructure cost and then let people buy it. Like Ravenna has done a similar project. There's some other cities that have done these things, and it helps people get up off the ground so that we are not dependent upon a developer to do all that stuff. We can't do that. We don't have the ability to invest in ourselves. Sorry. The other thing is we need partnerships. So whether it's the landowners that we currently have or the developers we've worked with in the past or new people, we need them to feel like we're both on the same page. We both have the end goal in mind, which is better for Gibbon, right? Better for the people that live here and better for the people who want to move here, right? So that when they get here, they're like, man, you guys are doing it the right way. That's my goal. I want people to start thinking we are doing things the right way. Thank you.
In the past, we've had two major housing development areas. One was the area with the old school, and that was done with the developer. And then we had the recent one with the at the nursing home. And we've had two TIF projects. One was more for commercial. That's in the Cargill region on the northwest part of town. And we have the region where the old nursing home used to be. So those are measures that we can do, and that allows us to defer a certain portion of the property taxes that we would normally collect, and it goes back to the developer so he can expand that infrastructure. Housing is a tremendous risk and an investment in anywhere you go. So for individuals to invest in building lots, houses on lots, they've got all of the infrastructure that we don't see. That's a tremendous expense and a risk that may take years for them to get back. So we can continue with that. And once again, if we have these revenues, or through grants, whatever it might be, different state funding, then we can put that infrastructure in there and it's less of a risk for the developer. One of the major problems we have is where do we go? Where are we going to expand? So as mayor, I would hope to sit down with those individuals who own that land and encourage them, show them how it's going to better our community, Show them how it's going to better our county, our school system, and their future generations. They have children live here, grandchildren that are going to live here. How is it going to better this region? Once again, that's a tremendous risk. The landowner is going to be letting go of land that they've been farming for quite some time. The developer is going to come in and invest large amounts of money, not to see any return on that money for a period of time. So we need to create an environment where they have less risk, but that's going to take community input, because we're going to be paying for a portion of that where we can. These are all ways that we can entice business or homeowners to come in. The other thing we need is our chamber. We've got wonderful community activity with our businesses here. Get them involved, because they know the more people we have living around here, the more they're going to patronize those businesses. They also have a larger workforce. So we need to involve different people, the landowners, the city, community members, chamber, business owners, other residents in the neighborhood, the school district. All of those parties need to be involved in that long-range plan. Here's where we want to go. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's what we need to get that done. Once again, I keep involving the community. I'm just a mayor, somebody you elected to represent you. The only way anybody can properly represent you if you're engaged in the government. Come to the meetings, come to the committees, offer your input. Thank you.
It all starts with communication. Business owners in Gibbon are absolutely phenomenal. We can use some more. Communication. Do these businesses or potentially people that are outside of our community want to bring a business in? Maybe, maybe not. Communication. We have, it's on the northeast side, those old elevators, well, not elevators, the old grain bins over there, those long ones. There's been talks with Cargill about selling them, kind of stale. I mean, in regards to the conversation, I'm sure they are stale too. The conversation has been stale, waiting on Cargill to come back with how much they want. We need follow through. Whether it's somebody that's a landowner around here, we just need that constant communication of, hey, what's up, what's happening? If it's a landowner around here, that's a whole different level of respect, because they are part of this community, and they have been, their land has been for a long time. And so there needs to be this level of respect and understanding of, hey, we're not trying to take your land from you, but if you're willing to sell, and we can bring something to the table too, to ensure that, hey, you're not gonna lose something on this deal, the developer's not. And again, I don't want to just repeat what everybody else is saying, but it really does start and end with communication. Because if we're not doing it, if the mayor's not doing it from their standpoint, it's not going to happen. Like, why is somebody going to sell their land to somebody that doesn't even give a hell about their land? They're not. They need to understand, like, I'm invested in your land, obviously using it, repurposing it, we'll have to allocate a different coding to those areas. Not a problem. But they need to understand, like, we understand the sacrifice you are making as well by giving the city of Gibbon this area, so we can now grow. We can bring in some more infrastructure, which is a whole nother dynamic depending on where that land lies. Do we have sewage? How is water there? Like, all those different dynamics. And those are things that are already, Mr. Smolcom, again, not to bring you on the hot seat again, but he knows where all these areas are and what's going to be the most complicated areas, what's the most expensive, but he's not the one that can buy them. He can tell you what we need in order to put businesses there, in order to put homes there, apartments there. Now we just need to get the folks with the money, developers, and now the city can come in and now we can do it. But it all starts with communication, because without it, it's not going to happen. I may not be the most eloquent speaker, but I definitely like to communicate. So that's all I have to say. Thanks.
Mr. Stahl, I'll begin with this question with you. This is sort of a broad question, but what challenges do you see for the city of Gibbon in the near future? And as mayor, how do you plan to address them? So again, what challenges do you see for the city of Gibbon in the near future, and how do you plan to address them?
I think some of the major challenges we have, we've already addressed some of those, is just maintain our infrastructure. That's something that we're going to have, and once again, the public needs to know where are we going with this. All right, well, what's our steps? We need to take care of this, prioritize that. So we've got our infrastructure. Now, every community has to deal with that. The next one is we have our development. That was the previous question. Right, we got to start developing these areas, and there's obstacles with that. Right, we're landlocked. Right, we've got to expand. We don't have very many lots in Gibbon that are available to be built upon. The one that I see is that we're going to have to look at our payroll. Are we competitive as a community, as an employer? All right, we want to maintain these employees, and we need to look at that. What are we offering? How are we comparing to the surrounding areas? We're not just competing with Gibbon businesses. All right, we're competing with other cities around here, and we want to end or at least slow down the number of people who are leaving our community or leaving our employment here in Gibbon. Because we have to start all over. I think we need to look at our salaries and the benefits that we're offering our current employees. The next one is our downtown business area. And we're looking at grants. We got a grant. We're looking at that. We're studying it. All right, what are we going to do to our downtown area to encourage development and growth down there, to revitalize that area? And then finally, this is kind of personal. My daughter's out here. She's right out here. She's going to have a baby here soon. Probably not now, but we'll take it tomorrow, maybe. Here's a problem that we all have. All right, our young families are facing with a huge crisis with the expense of daycare. And when I hear individuals considering quitting their job, staying at home so that they can take care of their children, all right, we've just lost, all right, their potential growth in the community as far as developing property or building up, whatever it may be. And that puts a tremendous stress on our young families. And we want to do whatever we can to attract those young families. And one of the major things that they're facing right now as they're starting their families is, what are they doing with daycare? And there's communities around that are being very creative with that. And there's different funding available, but the city is going to have to contribute part of that, all right, with matching funds, whatever it may be. But I think we can help our young families if we get some sort of help or assistance with our daycare facilities so we can keep our young families here. That might attract our young people instead of them leaving to go find other places where they can get cheaper daycare or maybe looking for other jobs. So I really think we really got to keep our young families here, and whatever we can do to keep them here, to keep them thriving. School district's going to thrive, our community is going to thrive, and it's not just now, it's in the future. Thank you.
When it comes to our city and city employees and those that are employed here within the city, I think there's something that's very much lacking, and it's appreciation. We have folks, and it's a competitive wage starting out, I feel like. For the most part, at least it's very similar, comparable to Grand Island and Kearney when you're a city employee. However, why is somebody going to bust their hump when there's zero appreciation? So there's a lot of things we can do with that. It doesn't have to be monetary through the city, through taxes. There's things that we can bring chambers on board and just different entities within the community. But I think it starts with appreciation for what we have and those that do the work within our town. That goes a long way, extremely long way. I think there's another thing, and Leon touched on it as well. We have this dichotomy in our community right now. We kind of have a younger set and kind of an older, more established set within our community, which is great, by the way. Like, it's phenomenal. There's not a lot of smaller communities like ours that are able to have this dichotomy, because that means, hey, guess what? We're going to keep on existing and keep being given. But we need to bring everyone back together, because it's that community, it's that base that establishes who we are and what we can actually do. And I really think it's not so much of a hurdle. I think it's just more of an opportunity. As mayor, now we can actually bring folks back together. If folks don't want to participate in events, or if we don't want to do things because we're busy with our kids, that's fine, not a problem. But it's an opportunity that we have as a city, as a town, to bring people together. And that is something that a lot of places don't have. We don't want to be Kearney. We don't want to be Grand Island. We just want to be Gibbon. And that's one thing that we have that other towns don't. We have that dichotomy, but that dichotomy is beautiful. It's here tonight. We got young pups. We got older, more established folks. We got everybody kind of in between a little bit. And that's who we are. So these are challenges that I think are impossible to solve, because we're already solving them right now. But it goes back to communication and just making sure that we're all on the same page with that. And our different demographics. I foresee that could be a hurdle if we don't understand the fact that our diversity within this town is so beautiful. And it's time we embrace it. Not that it hasn't been fully, but it hasn't been fully. It has been one of those like unspoken things like, well, it's given. Like, yeah, but it's not. Given is everybody. And it's time that we acknowledge that, because once we do, now that little hurdle is no longer a hurdle. Now we have more people that have bought in, have more pride, and our town just continues to be given, which is what we want. Thanks.
I think one of the biggest challenges we're going to have, well, there's two that I want to pinpoint on, is it kind of goes back to the housing thing or growing thing. In rural America, let's face it, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? If you become stagnant, you're not attractive anymore, right? The people we want to spend money here, the people we want to invest here, all the things that we've talked about that we want, you have to be attractive to those people. And to do that, we have to continue to evolve, and we have to continue to grow, and we have to continue to do things that show them that we want them to come here. We want new families to come here. We have a place for a new family to come to. All these things have to happen, okay? On the other side of that, we're going to face challenges of financial future. Okay? I hate to always be the bearer of bad news, but the fact is that we do have a lot of things that need to be paid for, okay? And we do need to take care of our employees, and we do need to take care of our equipment, and we have to take care of our infrastructure, we have to do all of those things, right? Everything costs more money now. So how do we fix that? It's going to take more money. We're going to have to spend more money on ourselves. It's not a popular approach. Nobody wants to say that, right? Nobody wants to stand up here and say it's going to cost more money to get where we need to be, but it's the truth. When things are falling apart and we got to fix them, it costs money to do that. That's a challenge. I think we can get over it. I don't think we necessarily need to do these unpopular things to fix that problem, but we have to take a different approach than we've taken up until now. We can't just keep kicking the can down the road and expecting something to change. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I think we've kind of fallen into that path, right? I've heard a lot of talk about grants tonight. Grants are great. We are capitalizing on a lot of those. But the grant structure is shifting, okay? The idea that you're going to get a grant and they're just going to write you a check and you're going to do something, that idea is starting to go away, okay? And the reason is they want to know that you're going to invest in your community if they're going to invest in your community, right? So a lot of it now is grant matching, okay? So the downtown revitalization, the street projects that are coming up down there to do some work with the bricks and all that stuff, you guys got to know that if the state says we're going to give you, pick a number, $500,000, they're expecting you to pony up some dollars to do that too. We're not going to get off scot-free, okay? So we have to start planning ahead. We can't just wait for them to come to us and say, hey, we got some money we want you guys to have, and us to sit here and go, oh, we don't have any money to match that, because they'll go to the next community that does. Or we don't want them to come to us and say, hey, we've got some money we want you guys to have so you can make improvements, and for the council and the mayor to look at you and go, well, we didn't plan ahead, so we need to borrow the money, okay? That's the challenges we face. I wish I had better news, but I have always felt like I would rather stand up here and tell you the truth about what's going on than tell you what you want to hear and get elected. We can fix these issues. We just have to take a different approach to the way we're doing it. Thank you.
circle back to Mr. Branch. This will be considered their closing statement, but answering this final question. So again, this is our closing statement, answering this final question, and then we'll conclude our evening tonight. And so it just simply is this: why are you the best candidate for mayor of Gibbon?
What a broad question, right? 3 things. Selfless leadership, integrity, and I love this damn town. I'll circle back. Selfless leadership. That's leading not because you have to, it's because you love those that you serve and you want the best for them. Integrity is one of those things where it can be kind of a murky thing, like what does that mean? I think as a mayor, it means that you are going to stand up for your community, for your citizens, for your town first and foremost. What is in the best interest of every single person in this town? It's not that you're a yes man because Lincoln says this is what you need to do. It's not because you're a yes man because the good old boy club here that's been forever says, well, this is what we've always done. Hey, there may be some good ideas there, but let's talk about them. Okay, integrity goes back to being the guy that you need to be for everyone else here, not for yourself. I'm loving this town. Again, nobody else would be here tonight if we all didn't love this town. When we moved here in 2012, I was still active Marine Corps, and I was gone a lot. And we didn't really have a lot of friends. I mean, it doesn't help when I'm not around, I suppose, a little bit. But the community embraced my wife, and they came around her, and instantly fell in love with it. There was nowhere that we wanted to be in Nebraska except for here. When my retirement was coming up, there was no question, like, this is home, and it's home for all of us. And in doing that, we need to ensure that we allow that for our future generations too. I really want to instill in you that our community is great. It is. I've been to a lot of communities around the world and in the US, and there's only one Gibbon. It sounds corny as hell, and I apologize, but it's true. There is only one Gibbon, and I am damn proud to be part of it. Thank you for letting us be part of it. And as mayor, I just want to ensure that we continue to do that. There's little things that we can tweak and we can work. The taxes, the money, the different things, showing appreciation to our workers that work very hard for us. Bringing in businesses and homes, like some of it takes a little time, which is unfortunate, but we don't want to change who we are. And I love this town. I appreciate you all being here. Chambers, thanks again for putting this on. And thanks to my wife for putting up with me, trying to figure out how I was going to talk to y'all. Have a good night. Thank you.
The best candidate for mayor. The good thing for you is I don't think that anybody up here is going to do a bad job. I think everybody up here actually cares about things, and it's a good group of guys that will do the right thing. Going to take different approaches, have different opinions on how things need done. But I feel better knowing that these guys are up here with me. I kind of have a similar story to Matt's. You know, I grew up here, K through 12. My family's been here since the beginning. My great-grandmother was a Lowell. My great-grandfather was a Gearhart. If you've been around here for a while, you know that means that there's moss growing on everything I know. But that's why I'm doing this. Christina and I had the opportunity to buy one of those houses in that first housing development where the school used to be. And I'm very fortunate for that. It allowed me to come back to what I call home and raise our kids here in a community that's been very open and good to my business, good to my family. I'm very grateful. That's why I'm here. I feel like it's my responsibility to kind of stick my neck out and make sure that we have something for my son if he decides he wants to stay here, or your kids, or your grandkids. We have to make sure that we're protecting this place and making sure that it's just as good of a place 25, 30, 50 years from now as it is right now, and just as good of a place as I remember when I used to ride my bike to the pool. That's what's important. The other thing that's really important to me is I want transparency on everything and communication. If you want to know what's going on, just come ask me. I'll tell you. It may not be what you want to hear. It may not be as sugar-coated as it should be, like I'm supposed to do. My wife tells me I need to sugarcoat things more. I'm working on it, but I want to tell the truth. I want you to know what's on my mind, and I want you to know what the facts are. That's my goal if I get elected mayor. It's an open book. The curtains are open. Okay, you can see everything, right? I want that for our community. I think it makes everybody feel like they're a part of it. It makes everybody feel like they know what's going on, where their money's going, how things are getting handled. That is going to be my main goal. Let's just let it all out. You know, if I make a bad decision, you know, maybe we'll do this again. I'll stand up here and say, hey, here's what I did wrong. Okay. Hopefully not, but that's the goal I want to, or the approach I want to take, is that we're all in this together and that everybody knows what's going on. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
So why do I think I'm the best candidate for mayor? I've come home. I was born here, raised here, graduated from here. I left for about 10 years, and I had an opportunity to bring my family back here. And I love it. We've been in this community since 2002. My kids all graduated from here. I've worked in this school district. My wife has worked in this school district. My daughter and her husband are moved back. They're starting their family here. I love this town, and I want it to succeed. I've seen it grow, and I want to continue that growth. I want to work with the council. I want to work with our committee and our community, and I want to work with the employees that we already have. We have a great staff at City Hall. We just need to get everybody on the same page. We need input from the community, some guidelines, establish a route that we're going to take, where we want to go, and how we're going to get there. And then once I have that, all right, I'm all yours. Right? I'm just your tool. I'm your vessel. You got to let me know what you want, and I guarantee that I will work tirelessly to accomplish whatever you need done, as long as we're on the same page. I also realize that we're all going to have different views and different opinions. That's okay. It's okay not to agree. But we don't make enemies. I'm going to say stuff you may not like, you may not agree with, and you may say stuff that I may not like or I may not agree. But if that's where the group wants to go, that's where we need to go. It's part of the plan. The other thing, I believe I'm approachable. If you need something, call me, talk to me. But the biggest tool that we have are the committees, the city council meetings. Look at the agendas. There's tons of board meetings all the time. That's where you find out information about our community. I will guarantee I will get the job done. Give me the task and I'll follow through with it. Whatever it takes, I will put the time in to accomplish those things. Once again, it may not be perfect, but I will try again till I get it as perfect as I can get it. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. The other candidates up here, once again, I think you guys have a tough choice. Maybe not. All right, but I think you do. It's a wonderful opportunity where we all have the same questions and we got to express our views. And I think you see that we have different approaches to reaching very similar goals. But once again, I want to leave you with this: be active, be engaged in your community, and then we can all take this town, to the next level. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, I'll say thank you again for being a part of our evening tonight. Thank you again, gentlemen, for your time. Thank you for the Gibbon Public Schools for letting us be here. Deb Stroh for streaming this for us. We'll do our best to get a video out of this if maybe you had a relative or a loved one that couldn't be here to watch that, or maybe you want to watch it again. I do want to remind you that the candidates are willing and able, if you want to contact them privately on your own time, if you had a follow-up question or a more specific question, they did say they are willing and able to answer those questions. So thanks again, everyone, for being here. God bless. Take care.